Breaking news out of Capitol Hill that could change the lives of over 20 million Americans who rely on monthly Social Security disability and supplemental security income.
I didn't even realize that much. Oh, wow, I'll pay off some bills.
What just happened behind closed doors wasn't supposed to happen. It wasn't on the public schedule. It wasn't even part of the original budget framework. And yet, late last night, with zero cameras in the room and barely any media coverage, Congress took a quiet but historic step. A decision that could soon add an extra $200 to $300 a month to your SSI and SSDI checks, starting as early as August 2025. Let that sink in. We're not talking about a vague proposal, not a campaign promise. This is a legislative breakthrough, already written into a live amendment, and one that now stands just one final vote away from becoming law. The funding is there. The plan is written. And now the countdown begins. But how did we even get here? Because just a few weeks ago, lawmakers said this raise was impossible, too expensive, too politically risky. But then the numbers changed. Following a quiet audit of unspent pandemic-era emergency relief, over $64 billion was discovered sitting idle in various state and Federal Reserve accounts. Funds that had been allocated during the COVID crisis, but never distributed. And while most of Washington was busy debating tax cuts and defense budgets, a bipartisan group of lawmakers seized the opportunity. They proposed reallocating a fraction of that unused money, around $42 billion, to fund a long-overdue monthly increase for SSI and SSDI recipients. And here's where it gets even more surprising. The proposal passed committee approval without public objection. No grandstanding. No media frenzy. Just a quiet yes.
Why?
Because the math worked. And for once, the money didn't have to come from new taxes or borrowed debt. Instead, a simple rollback of a 2020 corporate tax carve-out, plus the redirected pandemic surplus, created enough breathing room in the budget. And now, if this passes the Senate floor, you could see your monthly payments rise dramatically. Let's break that down. If you're currently receiving $914 from SSI, which is the standard federal benefit, your check could jump to $1,114 or even $1,214 per month. If you're on SSDI and receiving around $1,300 monthly, you could soon see that number climb to $1,500 or $1,600, depending on your qualification tier. No reapplication. No paperwork. The increase would be automatic and federally mandated. But there's a catch, and it's a serious one. A small group of fiscal conservatives is now attempting to stall the vote. They're raising concerns that this increase could set a dangerous precedent, that if you raise SSI and SSDI once, public demand will force Congress to keep raising it. Some are even threatening a procedural block, a filibuster tactic, that could delay or derail the vote entirely. Behind the scenes, there are whispers of compromise, pushing the raise to January 2026 instead of August 2025, or tying it to stricter income reporting rules. And that's why advocacy groups are raising the alarm. Organizations representing disabled Americans and low-income seniors are urging the public to pay attention. Because this window, could close just as fast as it opened. If the raise passes, the first increased payments could be distributed as early as August 14th, aligning with the second Wednesday deposit cycle. This means millions of recipients could be waking up to checks that are $200 to $300 larger just weeks from now. The potential impact is enormous. This could reduce senior hunger, ease prescription rationing, and help thousands avoid eviction or utility shutoffs. It could restore a measure of dignity to people who've been surviving month to month, dollar to dollar. But again, it all hangs on one final vote. If even two swing senators back out under pressure, the bill could collapse. And everything, all the work, all the hope, vanishes. Which is why this next week is critical. There's a growing movement online, louder by the day, and it isn't being led by politicians, billionaires, or lobbyists. It's being driven by real people. Seniors who've worked their entire lives and now find themselves choosing between heating and eating. Veterans who serve this country and are now battling both physical injuries and bureaucratic indifference. Parents with disabilities trying to raise children while living hundreds of dollars below the poverty line. They're calling this initiative the People's Raise, not because it's flashy, but because it's fair. Because for once, the money isn't being funneled through multi-million-dollar government contracts, bloated consulting firms, or defense contractors. There are no middlemen, no corporate beneficiaries, no backroom deals. This is money that would go directly into the hands of those who need it right now. People who aren't asking for handouts. They're asking for what they've earned. For what's just. For what's overdue. It's rare in Washington to see a policy so clear in its purpose and so personal in its impact. But that's what makes this moment so powerful and so fragile. Because make no mistake, this isn't just a line item in a budget bill. It's a referendum on what kind of nation America wants to be. It's a test of political courage, a test of values, a test of whether our elected leaders truly serve the public or just the powerful. Will Washington stand with a disabled grandmother in Ohio who's been skipping meals so her grandson can eat? Or will it prioritize corporate donors asking for new tax loopholes? Will they hear the voice of a retired janitor in Texas living on less than $1,000 a month, or the polished pitch of a billionaire hedge fund executive offering campaign checks? These are not abstract questions. They're real. They're immediate. And they demand real answers. Because while DC debates spreadsheets and political optics, millions of Americans are living in daily crisis. Lights getting shut off. Medical treatments delayed. Rents going unpaid. Groceries being rationed. And all of it, every bit of it, could start to shift with a decision that's already been drafted, already been funded, and is now just waiting for a vote. That's why the urgency is growing online. That's why the term People's Raise is catching fire in forums, Facebook groups, and advocacy campaigns. Because for many, this isn't just a raise, it's a rescue. A financial lifeline in a system that has for too long left them behind. And now, with just days to go before the final vote, the country is watching, not just to see what Congress does, but to see who they really work for. Because history will remember this moment. Not as just another budget debate, but as a moral crossroads. A choice between the rich and the rest. Between comfort and conscience. Between delay and dignity. The clock is ticking. And millions are waiting. And by this time next week, you'll either be celebrating a long overdue financial victory or wondering how, once again, it slipped through the cracks. We'll keep you updated every step of the way. Because this isn't just politics. This is personal. This is about you, your check, your future. And this time, you deserve to win. Stay tuned. Disclaimer. This video is intended for informational and educational purposes only. While every effort has been made to provide accurate and up-to-date information regarding proposed changes to SSI and SSDI benefits, no financial decisions should be made based solely on the content of this video. All legislative updates discussed are subject to change and may not reflect final government action. Viewers are encouraged to consult official government resources or a licensed benefits advisor for personalized guidance. This video does not represent legal, financial, or government advice.